Hey there, Matt with eTrailer. If you're looking for a trailer dolly that's going to be a breeze to use and can handle those fairly heavy trailers, then Parkit360 Force Trailer Dolly is going to be a great option for you. So the biggest thing that stands out to me about this dolly when I compare it to other ones on the market is either you got the manual ones where you got to push, you got to put a lot of power, and they're not going to be ideal for any types of larger trailers. And then on the flip side of things is some of those more electric ones or powered ones, you might have to bend over some and use it, and they can feel kind of awkward, where this one is going to be at hip level. And this is going to be something ideal that you're looking for, especially when you're at home and you need to pull this into a really tight spot, whether that be right next to your garage or a spot where when you're backing up your trailer, your vehicle really can't follow behind it because it's going to collide into other things or it's going to run over some soft surfaces that you won't be able to drive through. That's where I really think this stands out. But we'd love to see how you're using it in either a comment or review and what type of trailer you're pulling behind you. We're going to have one that's rated for 10,000 pounds and then one that's rated for 5,000 pounds. But other than that, how they work and how they look are going to be the same. They're just going to have a different weight capacity. I'm going to take it through two courses. One of them is going to be more so a optical course where we try to back this up in a simulated space where if you had a car, you wouldn't be able to do that. The other one is going to be a race to see how fast this actually moves and travel when you are backing it up. So we were able to get into this kind of tight spot here. Trying to back a car here with your trailer would be pretty difficult. This makes it way easier. Now there were a couple points that I did find it was a little bit difficult to move. And that's when you're making those really hard turns, or really any turns with this. When I'm making any turns, I really got to put my body weight into it, especially if it's going close to 90 degrees. Now making those 90-degree turns, of course, you're going to find a lot of resistance. That's pretty much with any type of dolly out there. Because what's happening, especially if you have a tandem axle, is those tandem axles or tires are trying to fight each other. We do have some products here on our website. Trailer Valet actually makes something that aligns those two axles, so it makes that process just easier to work with. Something that's definitely worth checking out. But still, this was easy to move because, again, I didn't have to really bend over to really operate this. And pushing it, even when I did find that I had a lot of resistance, it didn't feel like it was any hassle on me. Really what I recommend if you are making those hard turns, I'd recommend going into low gear so it kind of just saves the energy and the potential for this dolly. And then when you're on those more straight paths, you can kick it into high gear. The difference between your low and your high mode is pretty big, as you can see here. There's a pretty large gap there, and that's around, I counted about 15 seconds, give or take, between the two speeds, only on this short distance here. So what that means for you is if you're making any small movements or in those really tight spots, I think low is going to be your friend in that case. Now, if you're a little bit further away, you got a little bit more space around your trailer, then I'd stick to high. All right, so let's move on to some of the other details about this. So we are going to have a 7-way plug on the dolly, and what this is for is if you have a 7-way on your trailer, you can plug this in, and what it's going to do for you is, one, it's going to supply lights to the trailer, so when you're not moving, your brake lights are going to turn on. So if you're in a parking lot like we are right now, if someone's driving by, they're going to see your lights and not smack into you. And then the other thing it's going to do for you is give you trailer brakes. So that's going to assist if you are going to be stopping anywhere or when you are moving this around. It just makes it a little bit easier to move around. And speaking to that, when you are moving this around and pressing that button to either go forward or back, you're going to notice when you stop pressing that button, you're going to get a little bit more travel from this. And that's because it's designed not to be too jarring when you stop, because if you release that button and it just stopped all of a sudden, that'd be a lot of wear and tear on the components of this dolly. But that's also something to take into consideration when you are in those really tight spots. Let's say you're only an inch away from the wall. If you think you can just hold on to that and stop on a dime, you're probably not, and you might hit something. So we're going to have 2 modes. Right now, when you're moving your trailer, this is going to be in the power mode. This is where we're drawing power from the battery. We press that button, it moves. Now you're going to have another mode. If you come over here and turn this knob downwards, that's just going to be in manual mode. So you can just pull this around without having to use any power. Now I will say it is important that this is not designed to move a trailer in manual mode. It's only designed to move a trailer in the power mode. There's going to be 2 ways you can get that. So regardless of either way you're going, you are going to have to make sure that you have this plugged in here from your handle to the dolly, because when you press that button, it needs to get that signal somehow. Now, one of the ways you can get power is going to be probably the way you're using it the most time, and that's going to be the battery that's actually on here. It's important if you do charge this that this battery has to be plugged into the dolly so it can be powered up. I've actually tried charging this before and I didn't have this plugged up and it didn't get me anywhere. Now the second way you can get this powered up is, or get power to this, is if you're using the battery on your trailer. Now in order to do that, you're going to need an extra one of these cables right here. We actually have some on our website, so I'd actually recommend checking some of those out if you want to use the power from your trailer. Now after playing with this for a little bit, we're running low on battery power on here, so we're going to have to charge it up. So I brought it inside, and there's a few things to think about when you are charging it up. Like I was saying earlier, you want to make sure that this battery is plugged in. Once that's plugged in, you'll see we do have something here at the bottom that's indicating how much battery we have left. And before we actually plug into a wall, what I recommend doing is disconnecting this plug that connects to your handle. The reason why I recommend this is if this is sitting around your garage, if you accidentally bump this and we have this plugged in, it might move. So it's more of a safety precaution. And if you want to just save space with it too, you'll have to unplug that anyways. You'll have an Allen key, undo these 2 set screws, and you can pull this out, and now we can save ourselves a lot of room here. Once you're done with there, then we'll grab this plug here. We already have it connected to our wall. I'll plug it here at the bottom, and now we can start charging this up some. What's nice about when you're charging this up, you are going to have the display on the side so you can see how much it is charged by. Now another thing you got to take into account when it comes to maintaining this isn't only just charging this up, but if you have any points you got to take care of. A few of those points are going to be the chain itself. You want to make sure that you're lubricating that. You're going to have a recommendation in the instructions on how often you need to do that with all the other components too. Those other components are going to be your ball itself. Make sure you are greasing this and the shank in here so it can pivot a little bit easier when you're operating it. You are going to have 2 of them that come with your kit. So you are going to have the 2 5/16 ball and you're going to have the 2-inch ball. Now if you're looking for how much this can handle, you can actually take a closer look at the specs part of our page, not only to find the weight capacity for your towing, but also the tongue capacity. When it comes to hooking up with this isn't going to be very hard at all. It's actually really easy. And if you are curious to see that, just stay tuned. We'll walk you through it. To get started, I got my Parkit here pretty close to our trailer, but instead of just rolling up here, instead I'm going to take this ball and shank out of here. Now before we actually start hooking everything up, we want to make sure our trailer is chocked and it's not going to go anywhere. Once we're done with that, I want to make sure I unlatch this. And when we put this ball into place, you want to make sure it is a little bit more extended out, because if that's too far retracted, that's not going to be able to really bite on here and hold it in place. There's something else you need to take into account, and that's going to be the adapter that can come off here like I was talking about earlier. Now I already have mine off. The reason being is because when I try to put it up here, I'll latch that down, I'll tighten this down some. Try to keep that facing forward. This is going to stay flush. Now since we have this bend here, if you have a similar coupler and you notice that this plate here is going to be getting in your way, then you're probably going to have to take that adapter off and use it the way we're using it today. Once you got this in a good spot though, and it's hand tight, we'll grab our tool, and it's going to have two teeth on here. And these two teeth are going to grab on to these holes throughout here. So I'll just line it up. Once I have it like that, I'm going to apply some pressure. And we want to make sure we get this pretty darn tight. So don't be afraid to put a little bit of body weight in there. And once this is good, we can actually hook up to the Parkit itself. Now we're going to take the Parkit and we're just going to wheel it up. I like to have mine in manual because it's a little bit easier to move this way. And we're just going to try to line it up with that shank. It might take you a few attempts at first, but once you have this lined up, then we can actually start lowering down our jack. And take your time with this process. This might take you a few attempts because you do have to be kind of on it with lining it up. This one's going in there fairly smooth. Eventually it's going to get to the point where the jack actually starts to lift off the ground now. Something I do recommend when you are jacking this up, you'll notice this foot here is really close to our tires. So in some cases it might even make contact. Just be safe, I'd actually recommend just taking off that foot so you don't have to worry about it smacking in anything. And so you can preserve not only your jack, but also your tires too. We want to put this into the power mode. I already got it there. And once you have it in the powered mode, you can unchock your trailer because it's going to help stay in place like this. Now, if you unchock your trailer and then you try to put it in the power mode, it's probably going to roll a little bit on you like it is right there. So that's why I recommend doing it in that order. Once you do that, you can connect it to the power. I can tell I got power over here because I got some signals. I also recommend just connecting that 7-way if you do have it on here, just so we can be extra safe about this. So we got some brakes and we have some lights back here too. Once everything's good to go, we can start moving it and parking it wherever we need to. But of course, if you guys have any other questions, let us know here at eTrailer. And again, I'm Matt, and thanks for watching.